Hey guys, this is me fresh out of bed. Excuse the bleary eyes. I have got a couple of hours just opened up in my day. I've had a crazy calendar of late, but I'm going to be able to do a bit of reading, and I've got a book called Outlaw The Muse by Charles Bukowski. And it's fun because it seems to combine two different archetypes, and one is that of the muse, which we've been exploring here in Legacy, and the other one is the outlaw. And Charles Bukowski, maybe he was more the bum archetype than the outlaw, but he was certainly an outlaw in that he was a misfit and didn't really give a shit about the law. So I'm gonna sink into that book, and I was just thinking as I've been grinding my beans here in the kitchen, those two archetypes dovetail together in a really interesting way, the muse and the outlaw. So if you go in any of these websites like History's 10 Greatest Muses or whatever, you find countless examples of muses from 1920s and 1930s Paris. So you've got the lovers of Picasso, the girlfriends of Man Ray. There's a lot of repeat examples. But basically these girls that went off with painters and photographers and writers and the like, that was a really rich era for museness, for avant-garde, maverick artists doing something absolutely new and then having their whole circle of crazy avant-garde, hyper-bohemian friends. And it's worth remembering, we look back on that era and think, wow, everyone was so artistic, but actually it was an extremely conventional time, still ruled by traditional religion and kind of village mentality and ways of being, particularly in Europe. And then in America, you've got prohibition. So anyone going off to Paris to kind of join the circus, be a dancer, be a model, be an actress, in their own way is exercising the outlaw archetype, which means whatever their conditioning, i.e. what mummy and daddy wanted for them, they went and did it absolutely the opposite. And of course, you actually have a lot of orphan children, broken families because of the detritus of the First World War, which in some respects, a broken home constitutes somewhat to the outlaw archetype because you don't have a parental base to give you a home law. And so a lot of outlaws you'll see in myth and in cinema and great stories, they had a parent that was killed early on in their lives, or they came from somewhat of a broken home. And that's why they go out into the world and do their crazy deeds. But at the same time, their morality that we have explored, their innocence of morality, is all about standing up for the downtrodden, who they really identify with. And that's why the middle finger up to the law is so vehement and strong. So these muses go off to Paris. They find their painters, and the painters and the artists of the time, they fall in love with their muses, and they have that beautiful relationship. So the muse, in a way, is an outlaw. Everyone in the speakeasy is an outlaw. Everyone in the jazz age is practicing some form of outlaw. And that's why the muse is so compelling, because these female muses, in order to be of inspiration and interest to men, enable to have that access to that effervescence which just streams off of them, they have to be mentally free enough to be fully self-expressed. You're not going to get a good girl archetype who always says and does the right thing and then feel inspired by her way of being. It was often these butterfly women, as I spoke about in my story in the carnival in Brazil, these kind of uncatchable, untamable women that you kind of want to trap and grasp because they are so free. That sets off this desire to be, first of all, inspired by the freedom, this kind of muse movement, and then you've got the more kind of psyche-based grab and conquer, and then lock in the prison of the home and try and turn the muse or the bad girl or the outlaw, the avant-garde creature, the bohemian artist, and then turn her into a homemaker. That's what happens. And it's interesting that when we start to bring the muse back into ourselves and say, hey, is it really a woman who is the source of our inspiration, or do we just get inspired by the energy of the feminine so much that our own muse faculty takes over, right? Is the muse actually in here, and so on? We can only inhabit the muse in ourselves if we start to inhabit our own outlaw, because we need to fundamentally transgress in some way, shape, or form in our thinking, in our life decisions. If you want to follow the images that you were born with, or follow the images that you're in love with, and create a work that's truly and deeply resonant, you will probably have to transgress on somebody's expectations of your life. So will you do that, or are you hemmed in with your own psychology so much that you compromise and choose a middle ground even though it doesn't bring you alive and make you happy? Or will you say fuck it and go for what you love in terms of your work, your direction, where you live, where you go, what you commit to in your life? And to do that, you need a healthy chunk of outlaw. So just reflecting on the ways that these two archetypes really dovetail nicely together, and it's given me a lot of not just rich kind of inner thinking and contemplation today, but then looking back over history, all of the legacy that's been left, all the archetypes, all the imagery, all the representations of these two different archetypes, you see them all come together in the party and interact and play. And yeah, I'm like super inspired to track down even more documentaries, works that stem from this period and explore these characters, which of course, every time we watch a movie, read a book, which is listen to a myth or a legend, which is archetypal in nature, and we explore these exotic, outlaw, artist, muse, avant-garde, bohemian characters, bohemian again. And this is central to the Ars Amorata. The bohemian is that exact dovetailing of the outlaw. I don't want to get a normal job. Screw that. With the muse, I want to do that which inspires me. All these dead poets and so on, bohemians is right in this convergence between outlaw and muse. So all of these historical exemplars are so interesting and radiant to us, because as we explore them, we get to explore our own tendencies, desires, shadows, limitations, and so on. And the more I start looking at the world of arts and film in this way, all of a sudden I feel like I've got so much more external stimulus through which to explore my own inner world. Anyway, archetypal thoughts. I'm now going to have my coffee. Enjoy your day or your evening, gents.